You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
In these uncertain economic times, you've got to do whatever you can to save money. One of our biggest expenses can be our cars, especially when unexpected repair bills hit. Not anymore. If you own a vehicle with less than 130,000 miles, is less than 12 years old, has a warranty about to expire, or even no warranty at all, you could stop paying for car repairs. Roadside assistance, towing, and rental coverage are all included. Don't wait for the next repair. Make one free call right now to see if you qualify. If your vehicle is less than 12 years old, has less than 130,000 miles, even if it's out of warranty, paying for car repairs can become a thing of the past. Call us right now and get your car protected before your next repair bill hits. Get protection and no more repair bills. Call 800-696-1030. Again, 800-696-1030. That's 800-696-1030. 800-696-1030.
Joe had huge problems with the IRS.
I knew it was coming. I hadn't filed taxes since 1990.
All the IRS letters coming in added up to a nightmare.
It got up to like $68,000. My heart started beating fast. It's like, there's no way, man. I mean, I ain't going to be able to do this.
Then they stopped his paycheck.
So that's when I started making phone calls and found U.S. Tax Shield.
U.S. Tax Shield went to work immediately.
They just took the bull by the horns. What blew my mind is he called the IRS right then and there.
So why is U.S. Tax Shield A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau? Joe knows.
They saved me a ridiculous amount of money.
If you owe more than $10,000 to the IRS or state, choose the company Joe chose, U.S. Tax Shield.
It was the best decision I made. U.S. Tax Shield is the way to go. Life is good. Thank you, Lord.
Call 800-471-3287.
U.S. Tax Shield. Boo-rah. Yes.
800-471-3287. 800-471-3287.
The internet will never be the same. You're listening to K98Talk.com.
Whoa! Good God, y'all. What is it good for? Absolutely. Let's get started again. Way. And we built this country called the USA, and we fly our flag because we're proud and free, we're Americans. Red, white, and blue is our way of life. Never back down from a challenge or a fight. Nature provides, God gives the rights, we're Americans. We fish the waters and we hunt the lands. We forge the steel with our own two hands. With what we've got, we do the best we can, we're Americans.
It's time now for the Conservative Curmudgeon Radio Show on K98 Talk. Now, here's Grouchy.
Gee, are you there or did I lose you?
I'm here. I heard nothing after you backed out, though.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on. Something wasn't right with Daniel last night either. Anyway, your intro's done. You're live. I'll edit this out in a minute.
Okay. Well, good evening, everybody. We are having some technical difficulties, but we are pressing on with this. It is a fabulous Wednesday night, and I am so glad that you've chosen to spend this hour with me. I'm going to start by reminding everybody out there that, especially on Wednesday night, but just in general, television sucks. It's really lousy. So instead of rotting your brain out staring at garbage programming, I'm going to tell you what you should be doing. You should be doing something both educational and fun, which is tuning into the nightly primetime lineup on K98 Talk. Every Monday it starts with the Stafford Voice with Daniel Stafford, and the evening is capped off by Rowdy Rick Robinson with America Off the Rails. Tuesday night kicks off with Opinion Nation with Bryce Robbins, our token liberal here at K98, and then it's Game On with JD and Stacy, followed by Rowdy Rick with America Off the Rails, as he is every night, capping off the primetime lineup. Wednesday, well, Wednesday's just the bomb because it's yours truly's night. And again, Rowdy Rick Robinson capping off the night. Thursday night, you get Red Nation Rising Radio, and then you get JD and Stacy with Game On again, and then Rowdy Rick with America Off the Rails. And on Friday, tune in to the Vito and Vito show with, you guessed it, Vito and Vito. And then Behind Enemy Lines and America Off the Rails. You simply can't beat the day in and day out lineup at K98 Talk. And that's just really what it boils down to. And if you will bear with me for just a moment, I have got to put a link out. Be watching on my Twitter feed if you are able to hear this so you can help pass the word around. Give me just a quick second and we're going to kick this out real quick. And I know Mr. Producer is working his tail off behind the scenes and nobody's seen that, but it's what's happening. And I have got to, there it is. I have got to launch Twitter real fast and get this out there. Yeah, excuse me. Didn't mean to open that door. Okay, getting the link tweeted out so people can go listen. And we're going to bounce back in. We'll get this down. And so anyway, Monday night, there were a couple of events of note. And one of them was just as good as the other was bad. So what am I talking about? Well, I'm referring to the X-Files and the Democrat Town Hall meeting with their three Democrats so white presidential candidates. And just to be clear, the X-Files was actually the good event, in case you were wondering. That'll tell you how I felt about the Democrat Love Festival that took place in Ames, Iowa. The candidates fielded pre-screened softball-type questions designed to make them all look good. Bernie Sanders was his usual sweaty-tooth madman self. O'Malley was just as effervescent as a glass full of Alka-Seltzer tablets. And the Empress of Chappaqua, Hillary, was her usual out-of-touch self. And I'm going to give a quick thank you to Stacy from Game On with JD and Stacy for the Empress of Chappaqua title. I absolutely love that name for her. It is so fitting. Brilliant. And as a matter of fact, Hillary was so out of touch that she might as well not have had arms. Kind of like a, I don't know, maybe a sculpture. Didn't they do one of that? Yeah, the Venus de Milo. But in this case, if we were to commission a sculpting of Hillary with no arms, we could call it Medusa de Milo. And what do I mean by these descriptors? Well, we're going to delve into that here in just a minute. But I also, before we get into the Democrats, want to discuss a little bounce forward in time and take us to Thursday night's Republican debate, where the frontrunner Donald Trump has decided that he's not going to participate. Now, there is a lot of conjecture out there about why he is doing this. Some people are inferring that Donald Trump is afraid of Megyn Kelly. Some people are saying that Trump is just pouting. But I think this is actually, if you get right down to it, I think that Trump is not afraid of Megyn Kelly. I think Trump would actually relish the thought of serving it up to Megyn Kelly if he could. I don't think Trump shies away from controversy and confrontation. I'm not standing here and telling you that Trump is my guy, because quite frankly, he's not who I would pick if I had to vote today. But I don't have to vote today, so my decision is still in the air, and I have time. But this doesn't help his case, especially with me, and I know with a lot of other people that I've been talking to. What I think is going on here is I think this is primarily a strategy move on Trump's part. He has taken this lead, and depending on which poll you look at, it's a very narrow lead to a substantial lead. And he's so full of himself that he's removed himself from this debate, and he's actually robbing constituents the opportunity to hear his positions. There are a lot of undecided voters out there who want more clarity on the candidates' positions. And quite frankly, I think Iowa voters are plenty smart, contrary to what Trump has said about them. And I think he knows that he can't fool them with a lot of the rhetoric that he's been using on stage. And I think he's just playing a strategic bet that bowing out of this won't hurt him as badly as being there would. And I think he's wrong, because if you look at the past debates, the chiding and goading of other candidates toward Trump has seemed to work well for Trump. Why, I don't know, especially since most all of it is accurate and true. People are refusing to see what I have come to see about Donald Trump. And don't get me wrong, I understand the angst of America out there with politics as usual. Believe me, I do. But we have Hillary Clinton, the Democrat, Bernie Sanders, the socialist, and Donald Trump, the totalitarian. And that was the title of tonight's show. Democrats, socialists, totalitarians. Oh my. This is what we have going on, folks, in politics. Think about some of the things that Trump is proposing and compare that to the measure of the Constitution. You can call Trump just about anything you want to. Is he an exciting person to listen to when he takes to the microphone and talks about all the great things he wants to do? To a certain respect, yes, he is. He brought up a lot of issues that needed to be discussed more publicly and brought out to the forefront. Now, his ideas on how to achieve some of these things leave quite a bit to be desired for somebody who actually claims to care about the Constitution and wanting to restore America to it. Because a lot of his ideas don't measure up to what our Constitution says. And there's no way that you can look at it objectively and say otherwise. Okay? You just can't. So I think if anything, if Trump is scared of something, he's scared of having to put together substance to go with his ideas. You know, he's got great quips and quotes, but the substance behind it is what's really lacking in his campaign. And I think that will be exposed when the Republican field dwindles down and thins out a bit. I think when we get down to having just 3, 4, or 5 candidates left, Trump's not going to be able to point across the stage, yell squirrel, and insult Carly Fiorina and have everybody forget about the question that he was just asked. That's not going to wash. So let's back up to Monday night, and let's start. Let me get this pulled up here. I'm bringing this. I should have sent this to Mr. Producer to do, but I didn't. So shame on me. But here we go. We're getting this ready. It's coming up now. And we're going to listen to Hillary's question from the other night at, we got to skip the ad here. I know. I should have done this, Rick. I'm sorry.
It feels like there's a lot of young people like myself who are very passionate supporters of Bernie Sanders. And I just don't see the same enthusiasm from younger people for you. In fact, I've heard from quite a few people my age that they think you're dishonest. But I'd like to hear from you on why you feel the enthusiasm isn't there.
Listen to this. This is great.
Well, I think it really depends upon who you're seeing and talking to. You know, today in Oskaloosa, I spent time with about 10 high school students who are enthusiastically working for me. I see young people across the state who are doing the same. But I'm totally happy to see young people involved in any way. That's what we want. And we want to have a good primary to pick a nominee, and then we want to have everybody join together to make sure we win in November, which, after all, is the purpose of this whole campaign. And so, look, I've been around a long time. People have thrown all kinds of things at me. And, I can't keep up with it. I just keep going forward. They fall by the wayside. They come up with these outlandish things. They make these charges. I just keep going forward because there's nothing to it. They throw all this stuff at me, and I'm still standing. But if you're new to politics, if it's the first time you really paid attention, you go, oh, my gosh, look at all of this. And you have to say to yourself, why are they throwing all of that? Well, I'll tell you why. Because I've been on the front lines of change and progress since I was your age. I have been fighting to give kids and women and the people who are left out and left behind a chance to make the most out of their own lives. And I've taken on the status quo time and time again. I have had many, many millions of dollars spent against.
Okay. So you get the gist of it. Basically, hey, kid, you're too stupid to know the difference. So if you had known anything, you would know that I'm an honest person, and you're just too dumb to know that the Republicans all lie and it's all their fault. And it doesn't matter that when I was the first lady, that my husband and I, when we left the White House, stole hundreds of thousands of dollars in furnishings and artwork and things of that nature. Oh, yeah, they did return about $100,000 worth of it, but there's about $300,000 worth of what they took that is still unaccounted for, that has been written off as quote unquote lost. Okay? Yeah, that's her version of honesty.
That's not how it works. That's not how any of this works.
That's right. That's not how any of this works. And
I fixed it,
Hillary just, she basically didn't answer the question. She said she's got 10 high school kids working for her in this one town, and she's met other young people across the state that are excited. But she didn't answer why there is a huge drop-off of youth enthusiasm for her campaign versus her campaign 4 years ago. Or I'm sorry, was it 4 years ago? 8 years ago. 7, 8 years ago, whatever it was. When she lost to Barack. Almost 8 years ago. My God, he's been in office 2 terms. Help us. We can't have another Democrat. So anyway, that was Hillary's so out of touch response. And basically, again, she just told this young man that he was too young and dumb to understand how politics works. And maybe if he were older and had a better understanding, you wouldn't be standing there questioning me like it was, like the whole thing was beneath her. And this was, this was pretty typical of how the night went with Hillary. But we're going to turn our attention to Bernie. And folks, if you didn't watch this, if you did, you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about here in just a second. But a lady took the microphone and really, really put her heart on her sleeve. And we're going to hear Bernie's response to her. You're going to hear her first talking. And I don't have all of her audio. I was unable to find all of it, but I found a good chunk of it. And you're going to hear the hurt and the pain in her voice. And I want you to pay attention to it because it is very real. And a lot of Americans are feeling this, but I want you to listen also to Bernie's reply. And we're going to touch on it after we hear it all. And I'm going to get that queued up right now and see if we can't fire this up. And Mr. Producer, this is all my fault, so I'm going to apologize. I should have sent this to you. You'd have had it cleaned up and much better than I do. Okay, so here it comes. Here it comes.
Sterilized sites.
We got to do the stupid ad here for a few seconds. Bear with me.
If you're the guy from the operation game, you get operated on. It's what you do. If you want to save 15% or more on car insurance,
but here it comes.
you switch to Geico. It's what you do.
2, 1.
Sanders speaking in Iowa today, where his push to close the widening income gap is striking a deep chord with some Iowans. Got pretty emotional at one point. Listen.
You can't buy presents for your children. It's really, really, really hard. And I worked 3, 4, 5 jobs sometimes, always minimum wage. I have a degree, divorced, and it's just I'm waiting for disability to come through, so my parents have to support me. It's just hard.
Right, thank you. Thank you.
All right, listen to what Bernie has to say to this now.
It is not easy for people to stand up and say that. But the truth is that until millions of people who are experiencing exactly what you guys are experiencing do say that, we don't make change.
Okay. So, yeah, let me get this right, Bernie. You want millions and millions of more people to be in a situation like that so you can enact the changes that you want to enact. Again, measure this up against the Constitution. Where does this rate against the Constitution? This guy is a huge windsack. Okay? And he is the sweaty tooth madman. He really is. He believes that this woman who was injured and disabled through her injury, who has children, who is still waiting for disability to come through for her, because I don't know if anybody out there has ever tried to go on disability through the government. I never have, but I have family members that have had to apply for it. I have a sister-in-law who was horrifically injured in a car accident. She was burned severely, had nerve damage, spinal cord damage. It is near about impossible for her to do much of anything. And she absolutely did not want to go on disability. She didn't want to be that person. But when she finally broke down and realized that that was the avenue she was going to have to go, she's now fighting for 2.5 years to get it started. She has yet to be approved, even though she has more than ample documentation from the multiple surgeries, talking about the nerve damage and the spinal cord damage. She has the scars to prove it all, and she can't get approved for disability in 2.5 years. There are things that are broken in this country. You can't listen to all the hype of the Democrats, though, because what they're screaming is broken is immigration. And what's actually broken are things like people exposing the welfare and disability systems, scamming it for millions upon millions, if not billions upon billions of dollars every year, while people that legitimately need it can't get approved for it. That's what's broken. Is immigration broken? Yes, it is, but not like the Democrats say it's broken. Okay? If you tuned in a few weeks ago, I actually one-upped Trump when he first made his statement that we should ban all Muslim immigrants. And I'll stand by my one-up even still. Right now, the United States of America should ban all immigration with 3 minor exceptions. And those exceptions are American citizens adopting minor children from a foreign nation, completely and fully vetted spouse visas to come in to marry a U.S. citizen. And what was the third one I quantified? I can't even remember. I'll have to look it up and get back to you. But there was one. Oh, I know what it was. It was foreign workers coming in, and the only way that a foreign worker should be allowed to come in is if they can prove that they have a skill that would contribute to American society that no American possessed and that they could put to work instantly and better America with. So those are my 3 exceptions. Other than that, for at least 2 years, until we can get a grip on what's going on with immigration in this country, we should temporarily halt all immigration. And I'm sorry, when we're paying out $114 billion a year to care for immigrants that come here to leech off of our tax dollars, that's angst we all feel. You may not agree with me, and that's okay. But that you cannot deny that anybody that's working and paying taxes is contributing to that $114 billion a year that's being used to take care of illegal immigrants in this country. End of story. Undisputable fact. Like it, don't like it, agree, disagree, it doesn't matter. That's the simple fact of the matter. Now, Bernie, he wants millions more people to be in dire straits, just like this woman, so he can unilaterally enact changes to the system. So, I mean, literally, Bernie's saying we got to put more people on the Titanic and sink it so that we'll pay attention instead of getting people off of the boat before it sinks. So my question is, what the hell's wrong with these people? What the hell is wrong with this Democratic Socialist Bernie Sanders? What the hell is wrong with Hillary Clinton? We are fast approaching the bottom of the hour. We're going to take a break here in just a second. But when we come back, we are going to keep going with the Democrat town hall meeting. I have another clip for Hillary, and I have another clip for Bernie. We're going to touch on all that before we press on and finish this off and move on to another topic. So do us a favor. Stay tuned. I'm now clocking 7:29. We're right at the bottom of the hour. So, Mr. Producer, let's cue up a commercial. Everybody sit tight. We're going to be right back with you, and we're going to continue this conversation.
Oh, but ain't that America? You and me. Ain't that America? Something to see, baby. Ain't that America? Home of the free, yeah.
If you want to work until you keel over, have less of everything in retirement, or give back more of your hard-earned money to the stock market again, then just ignore me. But if you'd like to protect the money you save, receive a steady, predictable retirement income, and enjoy financial security for as long as you live, then listen to this. You can download a free report that reveals the wealth-building secrets Wall Street and the banks don't want you to know. You'll learn how you can get guaranteed growth, safety, and real prosperity without risking your money in the Wall Street casino, and how to get the money you need when you need it, simply by asking for it. This is the best way to have a 100% secure retirement, and know your money will last as long as you do. To learn more about this method and to get your free report, go to 29security.com. That's the number 29security.com. 29security.com. Go to 29security.com.
We will never fully understand what we've asked of our military service members or their families, asking them to put themselves in harm's way, to endure it all. But we do understand that it's our turn, our duty, to keep them secure for the rest of their lives. Wounded Warrior Project long-term support programs help our most severely ill or injured veterans live independently, at no cost, for life, so that they might stand at ease. Join us at findwwp.org.
All right, guys, we're ready for our Four Seasons sunroom, and Daddy's gonna get a rec room with refreshments.
Oh no, we'll be sleeping under the stars.
Mom, what about the one with, the fun?
Nice try, little bro. It's a gym. My gym.
Hey, Grandma's getting her Four Seasons garden room. Weather tight and still like being outdoors.
Maybe a living room. Oh no, wait, a family hub.
Yeah!
No matter what the budget, the season, or the climate, Four Seasons sunrooms let you and your family enjoy the outdoors inside. Call now to receive your free, no-obligation brochure from the premier manufacturer of sunrooms since 1975.
More reasons for Four Seasons now.
To find out more, call toll-free 800-928-7007. That's 800-928-7007. Call 800-928-7007 today.
The staff of K98 Talk and the Spark Radio Network is proud to announce that our very own Rowdy Rick Robinson has been selected as one of the top conservative talk show hosts in the nation for his program, America Off the Rail. Again, congratulations to Rowdy Rick Robinson for a job well done and another reason to stay connected to K98 Talk and the Spark Radio Network.
Welcome back. Glad everybody's still here. when we left, we were talking about the Democrat town hall from Ames, Iowa on Monday night and exposing the Democrat and the socialist. We already touched on the totalitarian, Donald Trump. So anyway, moving along with the Democrat town hall, we get to this all-important issue, and you're going to, as soon as I say this, let's stop for a second. Let me stop, because I'm really excited about this. If you're out there and you want to call in and express your opinion, the number is 408-681-8255. That's 408-681-8255. You don't have to agree with me. I take hate calls just as well as I take the ones that agree with me. Feel free. But we're going to move on to this issue that was brought up at the town hall, the all-important, all-encompassing issue of white privilege. Now, I say this so sarcastically as a minority because I just don't know where these idiots come from. Growing up, I was never white enough to be a white kid. I was never brown enough to be a brown kid. And I was never red enough to be a red kid. So now you know my ethnic makeup. I was always taught that if I wanted to be recognized for anything I was doing, to make sure that I was doing it better than anybody else. That's what people expect in the real world. Results. Your teachers, your bosses' bosses, they don't give a damn if you're black, white, brown, red, yellow, or whatever. They want what's best for their department. They want what's best for their company. They want what's best for their school. As somebody who has been a boss on a few occasions, I can attest to that fact. White privilege doesn't really exist. It is a figment of a liberal utopian wet dream to shame white people into making ridiculous concessions to minorities like me. I don't want your damn concessions. I don't want reparations. I don't want anything like that. All I want is what's guaranteed me in the Constitution. I want a fair chance. If I'm not the best person for whatever the job is, for whatever the task is, for whatever the goal is, and I really want it, I'll dig deeper to find out what it is I need to work on. When I get angry with myself, and I get more determined, and it makes me perform even better. You see, when 100 people interview for a job, the simple demographics of our population as a country determine that the odds are in favor of a white person getting that job. Now, what does that mean? That means that white people in America make up about 65% of the population. So out of any given 100 people interviewing for a job, on average, 65 of them are going to be white. On average. That means that some jobs, there are going to be more whites, some there will be less. But population demographics are representative in this, and you have to consider that. Okay? That's just how it is. It's not because X company doesn't like hiring minorities. If you want the job, be the best candidate. And I don't mean go in with the best degree, because that's not always the best candidate. You can have a degree from Harvard or Yale or Princeton or wherever. But if you walk in and you got your pants sagging under your butt and your underwear is showing and your hair's not cut and you stink with body odor, whatever it is, any combination of that, you are not the best candidate. It starts with how you look, your clothes, your hair, your nails, how you speak,
how your resume appears. The list goes on and on and on. Be the best candidate, and you are much more likely to get the job regardless of the pigmentation of your skin, regardless of your heritage. But anyway, that's enough of my sermon. Let's move on to this clip on Hillary with white privilege. You're going to get a kick out of this like I did. Here we go.
White privilege is a term that more people are talking openly about these days. Certainly people like me have long understood what it means. Secretary Clinton, can you tell us what the term white privilege means to you? And can you give me an example from your life or career when you think you have benefited from it?
Well,
yeah, like this is some earth-shattering thing.
I mean, where do I start? I think it is hard when you're swimming in the ocean to know exactly what's happening around you so much as it is when you're standing on the shore, perhaps watching.
Are you kidding me? Did she really just go all Jack Handy on this? I mean, where's the deep thoughts music? I mean, you know, this is what I mean by so out of touch that she might as well not have arms. I mean, if I could remove her arms, I would like to throw her in the ocean and see how she does. But I'm sure with those powerful thighs of hers that she could probably tread water with just her legs for days. So that probably wouldn't work very well. But anyway, let's continue to listen to Hillary's answer here.
For me, you know, look, I was born white, middle class in the middle of America. I went to good public schools. I had a very strong, supportive family. I had a lot of great experiences growing up. I went to a wonderful college. I went to law school. I never really knew what was or wasn't part of the privilege. I just knew that I was a lucky person, and that being lucky was in part related to who I am, where I'm from, and the opportunities I had. But I'll tell you, when I first realized that I was privileged, both because I was white and because I was economically stable, I had two experiences. The first, and they both came through my church. The first, when I was about 11 years old, the church asked if some of us would volunteer to babysit for the children of migrant workers on Saturdays, because the families had to go into the fields and the older kids had to go with them. And there was nobody left to watch the little kids. And I and a couple of my friends volunteered. And I remember, you know, in those days, Chicago was surrounded by fields. Doesn't look like it anymore, but it was. And it was on the migrant journey from Mexico up through Texas, up through the Midwest, ended up in Michigan. But at a certain point in the summer harvest, folks were in the Chicago area. So I remember going out there, taking care of these adorable little kids. And I kind of thought, well, you know, they're very different from me. I mean, they've got different experiences, but they were just little kids. And then at the end of the day, at the end of this long road, because there are all these sort of housing units, at the end of this long road, the bus stopped and the parents and the older brothers and sisters got out. And when the little kids saw them, they just dropped everything and began running for their mothers and their fathers, holding their arms out. And I remember it like it was yesterday, watching that, and I was thinking, I used to do that with my father. And I'm watching these kids and their families. They have to work so hard, and the place they live is not very nice. And I just felt, you know, I have a different kind of life. I didn't call it a particular name, but it was a different life, and I knew that.
We have. Okay, so yeah. So Hillary realized her white privilege when she was 11 years old at church. Or maybe it was when she was washing the feet of homeless drug addicts in inner city Fayetteville, or possibly when she knitted sweaters for the starving deaf-mute orphans in war-torn Bosnia after her helicopter was shot down. You see, this selfless altruist and her noble, albeit amoral husband distribute 6% of the millions upon millions upon millions of dollars they extract from a diverse array of appreciative corruptocrats around the globe, including countries that kill or horribly mistreat and maim the very people that she claims to care most for, to a wide variety of recipients that they deem worthy, all the while pocketing a mere 94% of the payoffs for their trouble. You see, neither corruption or privilege knows the color of anybody's skin. Wake up, people. Judge these people on their actions and not their words. Don't judge them on the color of their skin. Okay? The Democrats are always screaming about diversity. We're the party of diversity. We're this, we're that. The Democrats are running 3 old white candidates. One of them happens to be a female, or at least allegedly. So wake up, do your homework, and don't let these idiots fool you. Okay? Now, the last clip we have from the town hall is for Bernie. This is Bernie clip number 2. And basically, Bernie gets a question that I think caught him a little off guard. He seemed okay when he was pulling the answer together, but let's listen to what Bernie has to say, and because it's quite interesting when you actually break it down. And yeah, we're going to allow this, and come on. Here we go. Okay. All right, here we go. Here's Bernie getting his question.
Voter. Jared?
Yes, Senator, some of your detractors have called you a socialist on occasions, and you don't seem too troubled by that and sometimes embrace it. I wondered if you could elaborate on that, and just to show us what the comfort level you have, your definition of it, so that it doesn't concern the rest of us citizens.
Well, what democratic socialism means, to me, is that economic rights, the right for economic security, should exist in the United States of America. It means to me that there's something wrong when we have millions of senior citizens today trying to get by on $11,000, $12,000 a year Social Security. It means there's something wrong when the rich get richer and almost everybody else gets poor. It means there is something wrong, and government should play a role in making sure that all of our kids, regardless of their income, are able to get a higher education, which is why I'm calling for free tuition at public colleges and universities, and why we have to deal with this horrendous level of student debt that people are having. Now, what's going on in countries around the world, in Scandinavia and in Germany, the ideas that I am talking about are not radical ideas. So what democratic socialism means to me in its essence is that we cannot continue to have a government dominated by the billionaire class and a Congress that continues to work for the interest of the people on top while ignoring working families. What this campaign is about, and what I believe in, is creating a government that works for all of us, not just a handful of people on the top. That's my definition of democratic socialism.
Okay, so, it sounds pretty good on the surface, but basically what it boils down to, and Bernie actually quoted or cited Germany and Scandinavia as countries that he wanted to model after. What Bernie didn't tell you is that, relatively speaking to democratic socialism, Scandinavia and Germany are fairly new to the practice. There are other countries in Europe that have run democratic socialist type governments that you should really be pointing to that have been doing it a lot longer. Countries like Greece, and you see where their government is right now. Portugal is approaching to the level of where Greece is and was. Who else is out there? Portugal, even Italy's having problems right now with the socialist form of government that they were running and are running. It's just a matter of time before, matter of fact, they call that group of nations the pigs. They're all running socialist forms of government in one fashion or another, and they're all collapsing, some faster than others, but all of them basically in the same group together. Bernie basically wants all of our money so that he can redistribute it to who he thinks deserves it more than you. And, you know, that's basically what democratic socialism is. That is the government reaching their hand into your wallet and then shifting over to the side a little bit and putting it into your backside cavity and reaching it through your intestines and yanking your tonsils back out through the same orifice. That's democratic socialism. That is not what this country was founded on. Measure what he just said against the Constitution and tell me how in the hell that can even qualify as somebody to be president of the United States. So anyway, that's pretty much how this 2-hour love fest went, with a room full of people with their hands out to find out how their candidates would fill those said hands with the fruits of the labor of others in this country that are out busting their butts at least 40 hours a week, some of us even more. I'm pretty sure if you look at the Constitution and talk plenty about how the government should take what you earn so they can redistribute it to those who haven't earned it, I'm sure you're not going to find a whole lot in there because our Constitution, I'm sure, says somewhere that we should all have at least X dollars per year to live on, whether we earned it or not. Right, Bernie? The people... Oh, man, that people are even listening to these idiots and coming away thinking that they would support them makes me weep for the future of this country. Everybody thinks, oh, we can have that for free. No, you can't have it for free. You can't have it for free. You're going to pay for it one way or the other. Socialism is indentured slavery. End of story. You will be beholden to the government for everything if you let them take it all. We need to put somebody in the White House that understands the importance of what our great nation was founded upon. And that is the right to try to make the best life you can make. That's right. You have the opportunity to succeed, and you have the opportunity to fail. Nowhere in the founders' documents, the Magna Carta, the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, the Federalist Papers, nowhere will you find a guarantee of success. Only the opportunity to try. The rest of it is up to you. Now, in other news that's bound to make liberals jump for joy like they did in Ames, Iowa, Monday night, the appellate division of the New York Supreme Court has deemed that the owners of a farm that refused to host a lesbian wedding on their private property are going to be, quote unquote, re-educated and pay fines. This couple, who hosts occasional ceremonies, not just weddings, but all kinds of ceremonies on their New York farm, have lost an appeal in New York to overturn the $13,000 fine levied against them by the state's Human Rights Agency, which ruled that their refusal to host a wedding for two women was discriminatory. On January 14th, the New York Supreme Court Appellate Division, 3rd Department, upheld the agency's order and the fines, and a decision that the Alliance Defending Freedom which represented Robert and Cynthia Gifford, said amounted to confirming that the government can punish the Giffords for declining to coordinate a ceremony that conflicts with their conscience. Let me tell you something, folks. That would be the day I shut my farm down to anything but private parties. End of story. This is absolutely ridiculous. The couple lives in a barn that they built on their farm and have occasionally hosted weddings on the first floor of and surrounding the backyard area. After the agency ruled that the Giffords were guilty of sexual orientation discrimination, it fined them $10,000 plus $3,000 in damages and ordered them to implement re-education training classes designed to contradict the couple's religious beliefs about marriage. We have a government entity telling people how they have to believe. In order to comply with the order, the couple will have to attend those retraining classes or have a trainer come to them. All Americans should be free to live and work according to their beliefs, especially in their own backyards. I don't give a damn whether you view this as justified or unjustified. You cannot validate one person's rights by violating another's. That's not how it works. The government went after this couple's freedom and their ability to make a living simply for adhering to their faith on their own private property. They weren't out on the streets in New York purporting this behavior. They do this on their property. The attorneys argued that the First Amendment prohibits the government from forcing a wedding coordinator like Cynthia to plan and participate in a ceremony that violates her faith. But the appeals court decision sidestepped that argument and is allowing the government coercion to continue. Okay, back on September 25th, 2012, Gifford got a call inquiring about the use of the farm for an upcoming same-sex ceremony. Because of her Christian faith teachings on marriage, Gifford politely told the person calling that she and her husband don't host and coordinate same-sex ceremonies, but left open an invitation to visit the farm to consider it as a potential reception site. So instead, the caller and her partner filed a complaint with the Division of Human Rights. Now, this is the typical kind of activism that we're seeing from the bench during the Obama administration. Okay, courts all across the country are making law instead of enforcing law. It ties in perfectly with the makers of the makers of the undercover Planned Parenthood videos, who are now indicted by a grand jury in Houston. Here's the deal with this. Apparently, harvesting baby parts and even whole babies to sell as quote-unquote tissue samples on their quote-unquote bottom line is legal, but exposing these heinous acts is not. And this is exactly what I mean by activism from the bench. This country is so worried about the rights of the few that our judicial branch of government is not only willing to disregard the rights of the majority, but to trample them into non-existence to make sure that we understand that such mainstream Christian-type thinking will not be tolerated any longer. Folks, this is nothing more than another night of a utopian liberal wet dream masquerading as minority rights, masquerading as you're exposing yourself or your white privilege to me, and I am offended by it. Let me tell you people something out there. There is nothing guaranteed in this world. Okay? And here's just real quick before we wrap up the end of the hour, I want to get this in. Barack Obama is using executive order, and another utopian liberal wet dream come true here, to ban the use of solitary confinement for juvenile and low-level offenders in federal prisons, citing the potential for devastating, lasting psychological consequences. I got news for you, Mr. Obama. If you think a 17, 18, 19-year-old doesn't understand when they pull a gun out of their pants, stick it to somebody's head, and pull the trigger, that they are murdering a person, and that you think that we shouldn't treat them meanly, we shouldn't stick them in a little cell by themselves because they might start dribbling off their lip and talking to themselves or hearing voices in their heads. You know what, sir? I don't give a damn if criminals don't like how they're being treated. I don't give a damn if hardened criminals that kill innocent people develop mental disorders while in solitary confinement. Now, Obama wrote in an op-ed posted Monday evening on the Washington Post website that some studies indicate that it can worsen existing mental illnesses and even trigger new ones. Well, who gives a damn? These people shouldn't be getting out of jail to start with, you moron. Just another way that Obama is utilizing his authority in ways that circumvent the branch of government that should be acting on these issues if they should be acted on. This is activism, and it's pissing me off. But again, don't take my word for it. Do your own homework, just like I tell you every week. Now, we didn't make it through the full agenda tonight, but we got through enough. I'll hold over a few things for next week, including maybe even retouching on this a little bit. But right now we're at the top of the hour. It is time for me to sign off. So I thank you for being here with me. I look forward to having you back next week when we rock the G Nation and get all grouchy about everything we get grouchy about.
Life. Never back down from a challenge or a fight. Nature provides, God gives the rights. We're Americans. We fish the waters and we hunt the lands. We forge the steel with our own two hands. With what we've got, we do the best we can. We're Americans.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.